when you look at the computer programs, right, it's sort of, it's a bits, 0, 1, right? There's nothing gray about it. It's on or off, right? When you talk about spirituality, right, is this black and white like that, or is it there is a shade of gray? Can you kind of talk about it? I mean, and it would be very appropriate for people because most of us are here engineers, right? And then you are probably the best person who can correlate how engineers think and how spirituality, how can you kind of bring those two things together?
Good morning and Om Shanti. We heard a very beautiful invocation in the beginning. I don't know how many got the meaning of that invocation. What was the invocation saying? It was saying Shanti, Shanti, which means peace. Peace to? What did the invocation say? Peace to? Peace to the air, peace to water, peace to earth, peace to fire, peace to people. Om Shanti means I am peace. I am peace. And we believe and we understand and we experience that unless I am peace, I cannot radiate peace to nature, to people, to the universe, unless I am that. And when it comes to whether it is as simple as black and white, honestly, it is. Either I can be peaceful or I can be anything other than peaceful. Either I can be happy or I can be something other than happy. Once I'm anything other than happy, then it could be many, many shades. It could be just a little irritated. It could be very irritated. It could be very, very, very irritated. It could be angry, it could be very angry, it could be abusive, it could be aggressive, it could be violent. So it could start with just a slight trace of irritation, and it could go up to an abusive language, or it could then go up in aggression in behavior. But all that could have shades of gray, but then that is on one side, and the other side is peace. So it is actually either peace or anything but not peace. It could be either happy or not happy. It could be either love or not love. It could be either power or not power. So now that you bring it up, I think it is 0 or 1. It is. And that's why spirituality is science, actually. Sometimes, especially I said that 25 years back when I was introduced to the Brahma Kumaris, and I said, it's so unscientific, because I didn't understand that was the deepest science, actually. But we sometimes label things without experimenting. And I feel as an individual from a scientific background, we should never label or reject something without experimenting. But hearsay or life was different 25 years back. Actually, we were not using the word stress that time. Yeah, you and me in school were using the word stress? No. Depression, though we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what it was. Stress for us was just a word in science. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Simple. That is what was stress. We were not walking around saying, I am stressed, you are stressed, we are stressed, children are stressed. Now everybody seems to be stressed. So that was not a word. So when I was first time introduced by my mother to spirituality and meditation, and I just rejected it, saying, I don't need it. I don't need it. Why do I need it? Everything is perfect in my life. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm doing well. Why do I need something? But that was something which I did was I rejected it without experimenting it. And because I thought it was just blind faith. I didn't know it was science. And now when I started experimenting it, I realized that it's pure science. The science which we look as science today is experimenting with the outer world, and the science of experimenting with the inner world is called spirituality.
So speaking of that, right, I mean, it's perfect, right? How do you kind of talk to somebody who is in that belief? What clicked really when you started? I mean, how did you go about experimenting? If you could just share a few words.
Actually, My mother, in her own simple language, said, you must come here, you must listen to God's teachings. You know, it's God directly who's teaching. And I was like, shh. In fact, I went up to my dad and asked him to stop her from going there. So I said, like, this is, how can they talk like this? And, but then I just saw a lot of transformation in her. You know, as a parent who is a typically worrying parent, a mother who in the era of no mobile phones would be walking around in the balcony if the child is 15 minutes late. And then you say, like, don't worry, but they will say, we know nothing else but worry. And then you suddenly see a mother who's very anchored and very stable. And even if a child is going through a problem, the mother is very powerful instead of being worried. And that itself was enough for me to say, she's got something. She got something. What she got, I haven't yet understood, but she got something, because now it's not talking, it's I can see it in action. So now that is what inspired me to at least see what she has got. And also I firmly believe that when parents, because we were talking about parent and children, and I think in the last 15 days, this side of the world, almost everyone's been talking about their children. And that's why I feel if we really want to do something for our children, then it's the parents who have to do it. Because when the parents start experimenting and start practicing some techniques which are going to ease them down, the children not just watch and absorb, but most important is children imbibe the vibration of the parent. So a lot of parents will say, I want my child to meditate. I want my child to be peaceful. I want my child to be emotionally strong. But I am going to be stressed. And you say, please come for meditation. I don't have time. Please teach my child. It's just not going to go that way. It's not going to work that way. And so I will always be thankful to my parents, because it's because of them that I was unaware. I started absorbing those vibrations. And when it clicks logically is much later, but what a child gets is the vibrations of the parents and the culture and the lifestyle in the house. Everything starts influencing the child. And we become emotionally stronger as children, even without being aware that we are getting it from our parents. And we've all got it from our parents. We all got it from our parents. And today when we are questioning our children and say, oh, we were not like this when we were children. We were not talking to our parents like this, the way they are talking today. But we never stop to check, are we the same parents what our parents were 30 years back? So if we do those simple things which our parents were doing 30 years back, we will have all that we're looking for in our children. So that's what started taking. And even then, initially, when I went to the center for the first time, I rejected most of the things that they were saying, because I said, you first prove. You first prove there is a soul. You first prove there is God. And they said, there's no proof. I said, then I'm not trying. What a waste of time to try something which has not been proved. And then I just said, thinking, saying, it will have to start with an assumption. It will have to start with an assumption. To prove anything, we always started with suppose A is equal to B. We could never prove A is equal to B till we started with suppose A is equal to B. So once I write my suppose A is equal to B, and then I start solving, and after 2 papers, I will reach to the last line, which will say, therefore, A is equal to B. So I had to start with my suppose A is equal to B. So science helped there. So I said, suppose what they're saying is the truth. And suppose what they're saying about the soul is the truth, what they're saying about God is the truth. It had to all start with a suppose and then a journey. And I asked the sister, how many months? She said, 3 months. I said, okay, 3 months is all you get. And just tell me what I have to do for 3 months. And she said, do this, do this, do this. Did it. Before 3 months, I said, therefore, A is equal to B. So it come to that. But it starts with an experiment.
That's so true. Growing up, my parents, my dad actually started going to the center first. My mom wouldn't go. And then it was me, and then my brother, and then my mom joined. And I think it was the same thing, which is leading by example. We saw something different, and that's where it started. And I think I kind of correlate that to even work. I mean, I look at, we lead a group, and then even if they are older than us by age, but they're our kids, right? It's the same thing where we lead by example. I think it transpires into. So thank you for that. Transitioning back to the work, right? I mean, being successful at work, right? There are two critical things which comes to my mind, right? Passion, right? And then a basically strong work ethic, right? If you're passionate about something and if you have a strong work ethic, you can be successful, right? In a life, right? If I translate that to in a life, what would be some of those things where you could be considered successful in a life?
Passionate about being happy. And live your life on the right ethics. So it's the same thing. And most important, then you won't be successful only at work. Then you will be successful, full stop. Because we don't want to be successful only at work. Because that would not be called as success. That would just say you're doing well at work, which is only one part of your life. What we have done today is we've made one part of our life our life. It's not our life, it's only one part of our life.
Right.
It's only one part of our life. It's like this chair we're sitting on, it's on 4 legs. If we just keep focusing on one leg, you're going to have one leg very long and the other 3 very short. And then are we going to be comfortable? No. So work is one leg of that chair. It's not about how many hours we are spending on it. It's about how much we have prioritized right. I asked somebody the other day, I said, what's priority in life? He said, very simple, work, family, self. He didn't even take 10 seconds to say that. Work, family, self. Do you agree? No, you don't? What's the priority?
Self, family.
Be confident. What's the priority? Works, family, self. Nay, what's the priority? Self, family, work. How selfish can you be? You put self right on top. How can you think about yourself before family, and how can you ever think about yourself and family before work? And you are saying that sitting here in CISCO, that self, family, and work. It's a list which we understand logically, but if we start living it, then stress will not be a part of our vocabulary. Because anybody who takes care of the self, nurtures the self, and then has beautiful relationships, and then comes to work, is going to be very light and happy always. But anyone who prioritizes work as first, and goes to work without taking care of themselves, and because they've not taken care of themselves, and they go to work, and they create stress and irritation, that when they come home in the evening to their family, they're not very happy people there. And so then it goes into a vicious cycle. So anyone taking care of themselves is going to have beautiful family, and anyone has those 2 is going to perform very well at work, and anyone who has those 3 is called successful.
Very nice. Beautiful. So, we at CISCO really believe in having strong emphasis on work-life balance, right? But considering being in Valley, there is always a lot of pressure in terms of getting the products out, right? And there is just the workload, and you guys can hear it. I mean, I have probably a lot of my team members here, and they always saying you're driving us crazy, right? And it's just that there is a pressure, right? So what is your thought process in terms of there is a demand of the work, right? There's a demand of the family, and there's a demand for your own development, right? I actually went into the wrong order, but so I was probably one of those who said work, family, and self. But how do you kind of try to do a balance? I mean, you have 24 hours in your day, right? Do you have some tips for us to kind of look at it? This is a holistic thing, right? It's not only about 10, 20 years of your work, but it's about your whole life.
Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. We're only talking about the pressures of life. We're not talking about the denominator. And we've conveniently ignored the denominator. And when we ignore the denominator, we start saying stress is equal to pressure. So the more the pressure, more the stress, because denominator is not there. So the equation becomes very simple. Stress is equal to pressure. Now bring in the denominator there. Pressure, not in my control. So for the team here, pressure is in his control. And for you, maybe it is in someone else's control. So again, we are passing it down line, the pressure. But the resilience is in my control. And resilience means my inner strength. And that's why I believe 25 years back, for me, when I was offered meditation, it was a choice. And that's why I rejected it, because I didn't need it. But today I feel we need it. We need it. It's not a choice anymore. It should not be, okay, do you feel like meditating? Come over. Don't feel like, it's fine, because life is anyways going perfect. But life is now not going perfect. And when pressures get very high, then let's start focusing on the denominator. And let's start raising the denominator. And when we start raising the denominator, and the inner strength goes, and then we can look at you and say, go ahead, increase your pressure, instead of saying you're driving me crazy. Which doesn't mean I wouldn't be working those many number of hours. I would still be working those 10 hours, 12 hours, or whatever the time period is. It's just that I will not be stressed. Stressed is not in the work. Stress is not in the work. Stress is not in the number of hours of work. There are people who are sitting at home, retired, not working, but very stressed. Yes. Yes, they are very stressed. And you can meet 3- and 4-year-old children who are only in kindergarten and say, Mom, I'm very stressed. For what? Because it's nothing to do with work and the number of hours we are working. It's an emotion that we are creating in response to our life. That life could be 14 hours of work. That life could be sitting at home doing nothing. That life could be the first time I'm giving an exam at school. My life could be different. But stress is not equal to pressure. Stress is equal to pressure divided by inner strength. Now, what has happened in the last few years, especially in the last 20 years after you and me have passed out from college, pressure suddenly increased. And we were at our same resilience that we were before. We didn't do anything to increase the denominator. And the numerator just increased very rapidly. The life which our parents led in terms of professional life and the life which we are leading is completely different. So it's this generation which saw that big shift in terms of the numerator. Now, in terms of the denominator, our parents were using simple techniques to keep their inner strength high. Whether that was yoga, whether that was meditation, whether that was prayer in the morning. They didn't have phones. So first thing when they wake up, they don't know to look at the phone, so they remembered him. But now we have. So even in the middle of the sleep, we can get up, check that for 5 minutes, put it back.
Yes.
So things changed, and we're not blaming technology because it's a wonderful thing we have. It's made life very comfortable, and we're always grateful to this valley for sending all those gadgets to the rest of the world. We are, always. You've just made the world a very comfortable place, but I feel personally it's from this valley that you can send the message to the world how to make it a happy place, not just a comfortable place. So if you have the most brilliant minds, you have the most brilliant minds here, right? You have the most brilliant minds here.
Yes.
So let's also have them as wise minds here. So brilliance plus wisdom coupled together is going to make the world happy and comfortable, because we don't want a comfortable world who's unhappy. Because when I'm not happy, it's like this sofa. It's very comfortable. It's very comfortable. But if I'm not happy, I will not even enjoy the comfort of this sofa. I'll feel like running away. People feel like running away nowadays. They don't want to be at home. They don't want to be at work. They don't know where they are happy or whether at home. I sometimes ask people which day is easier, the Monday or the Sunday. They take 5 minutes to even think on that. Earlier, it would just to be a standard answer. Obviously, being at home is more comfortable. Now they're not very sure. Yes, they're not very sure whether they are happier at home or happier at work. So then what's the point of having all the comforts? What's the point of me having worked so hard, earned so much to buy such an expensive sofa when I'm not happy? And most important, when I'm not happy, I'm not comfortable on that sofa. And I won't feel like sitting on that sofa. And most important, when I don't have anyone sitting on the sofa next to me, then what's the purpose of having worked so hard and earned all the money? So it's from this valley we need to now create, because it won't be a technology creation now, it's going to be an inner creation. But send out to the world tools for not just connecting to people, but connecting to themselves. And when you connect to yourself, then you will connect to people in a very beautiful way.
So do you have some tips for us? I'm going to ask, I'm cheat here, to build the inner strength and to kind of propagate that to the world. I mean, do you have some, how do you go about building the inner strength?
And you'll start using them from tomorrow?
Yes. Yes.
Will you start using them from tomorrow? Yes? You know, today, acha, bahut badhiya baat hai. Today, you know what? I have been experimenting and seeing the irony is, we are in pain. Pain means emotional pain. We are suffering, and yet we don't want to do anything about it. And that's really a question mark. Why don't we want to do anything about it? Why don't you want to do anything about it? If your body temperature rises a little bit, do you just allow it to go on and on and on and on? No. So when something is uncomfortable here, why don't we want to do anything about it? But when we have to do something about it, it's going to need simple lifestyle changes. So now, when I start talking about lifestyle changes, people are like, no, I don't have time. No, it's very difficult. And most important, okay, I'll try. And back to being who we were. So important is, before we even think of the changes, important is for me to ask myself, do I really want to change? Or am I happy with my? But you know what? If we don't change now, in the next 10 years, we will not be where we are today. It's like a car up the slope. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. It's not standing there. And even if it continues standing there, high risk of it just slipping down. So it's very important in the journey of life to keep going upwards. Even if it's very slow, very gradual, but keep going upwards. Right now we are on a downslope in terms of our happiness, in terms of our relationships. And it will not continue at this same speed. It will not. Last year, 2017, WHO said 1 in 4 symptoms of depression. And we hear the statistics, we read about it, and we're back to work. We don't think we have to do anything about it because we say, nobody in my house has depression, chalo, get back to work. But we don't realize the implication of what it means of 1 in 4. 1 in 4 is 1 in a family. 1 in 4 is definitely in your team and you won't know it. Mm-hmm. And most important is, they also don't know it. And that's why pain and suffering really increases. And now, WHO's prediction for 2020 is second leading cause of death, depression. Are we wanting to do something about it? Because before you know, 2020 will be there. We've already finished half of 2018. So, you know, this is what is also the responsibility of the intelligent minds of the world. Intelligent minds of the world are not only to create miracles outside. Intelligent minds have to come together to say, what should we do by which 2020 we eradicate depression? That's what we have to do. So we need to really pause and make simple lifestyle changes. And that I will take up when I'm in my talk.
All right, thank you.
So, Sister Shivani, thank you for actually talking to us today. There's one thing that I feel a lot of guilt about. When I came to this country 25 years ago, I felt I was a lot more happier. I had a lot less. than what I have today. And I feel when I talk to my friends, I think they feel the same way, that the more they have, the more they need. And I was in Ireland a couple of months ago, and I asked one, and he looked very happy, and I asked him, how do you define happiness? And he said, it's very simple for me. What I need divided by what I want, and that's how I define my happiness. And I know what I need. I don't care for what I want. And I'm able to control my numerator, and I'm not really worrying about denominator. What I see in the valley being capitalistic, and I think when I was in India, when I was in a village, I was more happy when I was in a village. Then I went to the city, I was more unhappy. I came to this country, I was more unhappy. And now when I see my friends, I used to now count how many Facebook friends I have, how many LinkedIn followers I have, how many Twitter followers I have. It feels like the world has become too flat with technology, and everybody is chasing something. And somehow that is leading to stress, and that they feel like, really, they're not able to really do work-life balance. And they keep asking this question, how do I do this work-life balance? Question to you is, like, in the world of technology, where we are very proud of connecting everything, we feel like we're impacting every cause in the social world, but we are also adding a lot of stress to everybody. So we'd like to hear your thoughts on what would you recommend?
Don't tell people that you're not happy in the valley, because they're all living in the world thinking that people living in the valley are the happiest on the planet. I mean, if I have to go back to India and say, what, people in the valley are not happy, they're not going to believe me. So we will never say this, because most of them aspire to be here. And actually, it's not about where you are. It's not about where you are. It is about how you are living your life. Because if I say I'm not happy here, then I will be blaming the place, the culture, the way of working to what I'm feeling. And then I will not do anything to change the way I am thinking and feeling, because I will believe that it's about where I am. Then I have two options. Either I live here unhappy, or I go back to the village. Are you ready to go back to the village? You see, so now you're stuck. You're stuck because you're choosing between two options. One is we believe that we are unhappy here, and we won't go back to the village because we believe we'll be uncomfortable there. It's simple, no? I'm not going to have these kind of comforts in the village that I've got used to now, and more than you, your children. Yep. So even if you remotely think of going back to the village, you will have to go alone, which will again not make you happy. Dekho, we are stuck. So it's not about whether we are in the village. It's not whether I'm in a big city of India. It's not whether I am here. It's about how I'm here. It's not where I live here. There can be people in the village today also who are very stressed. You left your village how many years back?
Long time ago.
That's why he doesn't know what's in the village right now. It's not about where we're living. It's only that we haven't been taking care of ourselves. So when it comes to work-life balance, we are going to choose. Nobody else can create that balance for you. Who's going to create that balance? We are going to create that balance. And it's not about how much we are working. It's about, am I taking care of my mind, my body, my family, and then my work? There are a lot of brothers and sisters who come to the Brahma Kumari centers, they start meditating, and then they understand, that this is a very important part of life. And sometimes they start thinking of, should I quit my work? No. Should I cut down on how much I'm working? No. It's just that take care that you have 1 hour for yourself, and the rest will all fall into place. So as long as you're able to take out that 1 hour for yourself every day, how much time do you need to take care of your body? Are you going to keep exercising the whole day? Oh. But if you don't exercise for half an hour daily, then there are going to be problems. But if you just exercise for half an hour daily, so which means if you're able to take out 30 minutes out of your 24 hours to exercise, you will be healthy. You will be healthy, and it doesn't matter whether you're living in the village or you're living here, you still have to take out 30 minutes for yourself. It's just that in the village, we didn't have to take out 30 minutes because lifestyle made us exercise. That's all. Lifestyle made us exercise because we were doing everything on our own. Now we have to take out those 30 minutes, but that's okay. So things for me changed outside. I have to create a change. So you either do yoga or you go for a walk or you go to the gym, you do something. But if someone says, I don't have those 30 minutes, that's where it's risky. That's where it's risky. That don't say to yourself, I don't have those 30 minutes. Because then I'm choosing to be ill while I'm working. And if I'm unwell while I'm working, it will take me longer to do what I'm doing. It will take me longer to do what I am doing. So initially, I just have to prioritize and say, come what may, how much ever work I have, 30 minutes, I have to take care of my health. Yes, and do we do that? Do we do that? Do we do that?
Not regularly.
We don't even take care of our body, is it? No. Then there is no balance. Because within 5-10 years, this body will start then saying, okay, you've exploited me enough. You know, we are able to exploit someone and something for a certain period of time. And we thought it would be like that always. But it won't be like that always. The body can only take that exploitation for a certain number of years. And for many of us, it's already started giving us signals. Anyone here says, I'm perfectly healthy, never falling ill? Not taking any medicine? And then? And what age are we talking about now? So we've not even reached the age where the body is supposed to start giving signals. So I only need to stop and ask myself, do I need to give myself that half an hour to exercise? Do I need to?
Yes.
Do I need to? And on that day when I take a decision, yes, I just have to delete that line which says, I don't have time. Because I don't want to reach a stage where the doctor says, if you want to survive, you have to exercise. I don't want to reach till there. Because when I reach there, then I will definitely find my half an hour. But why do everything after it's reached that stage that either you do it now or... So we just start doing it now. Initially, it'll be a little... I have to find that 30 minutes. After a few days or a month, I will start seeing the benefit, not just on my body, I will start seeing the benefit at work. Anyone who takes care of their mind and their body will perform better at work.
Yes,
Do you think you will perform better at work if you are happy and healthy?
absolutely.
And if I'm not happy or I'm not healthy, what can happen at work? Okay, leave alone happy. If I'm not healthy, what can happen at work?
Take PTOs.
Anji?
Take time off to take care of
Take
your
time
work.
off, yes. But no, even if I've not taken time off, I'm working but I'm not healthy. Does it affect my work?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Will it affect my performance? Yes. And when it does, I take longer to do what I'm doing. Simple equation. If I am going to finish a certain project in 2 hours, and if I've got aches and pains here and there, it's just going to take 2 hours, 20 minutes. Simple, that's it. I've lost my 20 minutes. And then during the day? And now when I take out that half an hour in the morning, I save 20 minutes on my first 2 hours. And how much time would I save in the day? So when I invest taking out that first half an hour, within a month, I will start seeing that I'm saving on a lot of time. Because I'm going to take lesser amount of time to do the same amount of work. Leave alone taking time off work, but just doing that amount of work. It's only that initial first month. That's our transition period. So half an hour for the body and half an hour for the mind.
Very good.
Happy and healthy.
Beautiful.
The only thing what organizations need to do is Put the priority right. Happy, healthy, successful. We have sent out a very strong message into the world from here, which says successful, successful, then happy. And if successful and happy, then healthy. We sent out this message into the world, and that's why we will send out the new message, that if I'm happy and I'm healthy, I perform better at work. And that's why organizations are looking for the EQ of people. Why? Why are we focusing on the EQ of people? You know, if the organizational culture is changed, even if someone's come with a lower EQ, they will rise their EQ. But somebody comes with a high EQ, and within a few months, so a lot depends on what together we also create as a culture of working. But an hour is all we need. So we'll talk about what to do in that hour, but before that, you promise yourself that 1 hour.
Yes.
Promise yourself that 1 hour.
All right. So, Revati, do we have a question from RDP?
Let's take one question from the audience. 1 second.
My question is, say for example, if we have to start anything, I want to start meditation. We think that kal karenge, tomorrow I will start. Tomorrow never comes. So how do we control our mind to initiate anything?
बोलो आज करेंगे.
आज करेंगे. आज मेरे I have lot of things in line.
That you'll have tomorrow also.
Yes.
That's the thing. Those things are not going to reduce from today to tomorrow. They'll only increase. So it's about taking out that time today, not taking out that time tomorrow, because you yourself blessed yourself saying tomorrow never comes. Which means if it's not today, then tomorrow I would have another reason for not being able to do it, and day after tomorrow I will have another reason for not being able. It's like when you're unwell, you take rest that day. You don't say next week when I have less work, I'll take rest that day. You're unwell today. You need the medication, the rest, the healing, the treatment today. Because if you don't do it today, tomorrow we might be in hospital. Today we are at home. So, we just have to make it mandatory for ourselves. There are certain things in life which need to be mandatory, and this is one of them now, taking care of the self.